Hello, today we'll be talking about chapter 1 and giving a little detail about what social media is and a little brief history of social media, some mass communication models. And just to get started, I didn't say this in the introduction videos, but something that you should know as we start watching these recorded lectures, I will record these in brief increments so that you don't get fatigued by watching so many long videos. I'll break them up into shorter videos. So to get started, we'll just talk about what the definition of social media is according to your textbook and to other mass communication scholars. So I'll share my screen here and hopefully you'll be able to see everything. All right, so we might have this assumed information about what we think social media is based on what social media platforms we use as consumers. So some popular ones we see are Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. There are a lot of different social media platforms. It's important to consider other things when we're thinking about what social media is. So just take 10 seconds to think about 3 keywords that can define social media that are not platforms. So just take a few seconds to think about words that might define social media. Okay, so you might have thought, when I think about social media, I think of networking, I think of feedback, I think of interactivity, commenting, liking, sharing, these different functions. And your book does talk about these functions. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But you might also think about, well, what does that exclude as social media? Are blogs considered social media, or discussion boards, or email? And past academics, not past, past and present academics and professionals have focused on this idea of a toolkit. So how content is shared or created, that content creation, while there's a focus on community as well. So how the tech initiates dialogue and collaboration. So similar to networking. Your definition in your textbook is, and you can see on your screen, if you're a listener, I used to do that too. I used to listen instead of watching. If you're that type of learner, I'm gonna read off the slide so you can hear me. Your textbook definition is social media provides a personalized networked hub of information, dialogue, and relationship management. These new communication technologies allow users and organizations to engage with, reach, persuade, and target key audiences across multiple platforms. So the big fat definition, some keywords to consider here: personalized, networked, place for dialogue, so that interaction, that conversation, being part of that conversation with other people, that relationship management part. So a few key terms here: reach, persuade, target audience, and this is not just one platform. So this is the definition that incorporates a lot of different things. Just keeping that in mind, and also knowing that this definition remains fluid and dynamic, so it can adapt to the changing landscape and understanding of social media, because it will change, because it had changed so much already. There's this guy Humphrey and his model, if you will, and Humphrey put forth that social media involves a set of practices for using media socially and or collaboratively, and form social worlds that maintain social bonds. So you'll oftentimes hear people refer to social media as not the real world. And I'm putting air quotations around real world, because it is a world and it is real and it's social. It's just digital as we see it now in this age. However, Humphrey points out that social media does not equal digital tech. And this was happening before we had this explosion of digital tech. It's not a dyadic communication structure. It's public or semi-public. And that just means that we're not texting back and forth. We're not emailing back and forth to people, right? If we think about our Facebook, that's a large network of people that's public or semi-public, or any other digital social media platform. But Humphrey's view basically says that we're not relying on any particular medium. This can be even in print, right? We'll talk about that in a second. This has been expanded greatly by digital technology. So old media, but still social. This is Humphrey's view. Letters to the editor, when we had print papers, which we still do, but a lot fewer people get a print paper. But they had a section that was designed to allow consumers to give feedback to the editor. And it's a blank back page that allows readers to write their own news report. So how is this different than citizen journalism on social media? And there are a few differences, of course. We can think about the functionality of print versus digital newspapers. But generally speaking, citizen journalism on social media is where we're creating and recreating the news from the lens of our perceived, usually videoed, etc., stance. But it's really not that different. So I'm going to stop here just to wrap up. We went over Humphrey's view on social media, that using media socially and collaboratively is the highlight here. It's not necessarily about the digital technology. I'll stop sharing here and stop recording and pick up with part 2.